We're now here again at the Net Zero Nuclear booth, and our theme for today at this panel will be the youth perspective on a nuclear powered world. So, is nuclear forever? That's the question that we have to discuss today. You have to think about nuclear. That's a quite a big statement because you haven't had nuclear in Portugal. And we talked about this earlier today. Is actually, we said like Denmark is the country where you have the most anti-nuclear movement. But Portugal, that's even more actually, because you didn't even have the discussion before in that sense. So you two guys are bringing something to the table that we haven't seen before. So please, André, can you elaborate on what Rodrigo said?
Yeah, so you said that Denmark is clearly anti-nuclear, where in Portugal we don't really have a formal opinion of the public. Like the last survey on the people was in 2006. That's like 18 years ago. Nobody really knows what's behind that. And I can tell you from my story, that is, when I go out and ask the people for nuclear, what I get is curiosity. Like, what is it about nuclear? What can it do? Role does it play in the decarbonization? And that's the discussion we want to bring to the public. We want to grab the facts and get it out to the public, to get the people talk about it, get the people think about it, and then have an informal opinion from the industry, from the politicians, and get all them together and create a country where nuclear is possible. You know, that's basically it.
So what we're hearing is that from all of you, there is a argument that there is support in the population, but the politicians are left behind. There is a great need for more green, stable electricity, and you're getting it from fossil fuels, and wind and solar cannot do the job by itself. So help me crack that nut. Why are we not investing and doing more nuclear around the world? Why is this still in like some kinds of purgatory where we see a lot of promises, but we don't see a lot of results? So does any one of you like want to crack that nut with me? Why do we have that much support, but we don't see any results?
We can start with Portugal, and one of the reasons is that there's no public perception. Like the politicians don't know what the people think, and so the population may be in favor, but it doesn't get to the politicians. So the things don't get done because there's no feedback loop between the public and the politicians, and also the industry, because the industry, of course, wants cheap, reliable, stable, green, and then electricity. And we also need to decarbonize, and nuclear is a good way to go about it.
And another nuclear influencer, Isabel Bomeke, she said on a talk days ago inside the Blue Zone that this might be our last chance at the nuclear renaissance. Because we have the nuclear industry, not the advocates, but the industry has overpromised again and again that we are facing a nuclear renaissance and now is the time. But every time they seem to not get it right. So this might be the last time. So would any of you like elaborate on that? Do you think this will be the last time? Do we have the opportunity to actually fail again? Or is this bang or bust this time?
I believe this time is for real. So we need to get serious about climate change. And when we get serious about climate change, we need to get serious about decarbonization. And so in order to get a good, stable decarbonization, nuclear energy is a necessary foundational piece of it.
What do you think is going to happen in the next 10 years? Like, one thing is Poland, they have their plans to build their nuclear power plants, of course. But you don't have nuclear power. Do you think that you in 10 years, as well as Aurora talked about with Italy, as a country that doesn't have nuclear power, do you think that you will start a nuclear power program in these 10 years and you'll actually be on the road to developing your first nuclear power plant?
I don't think that in the next 10 years we'll get there. Maybe it's 12 years, maybe it's 13 years, but it's that close. But why do I say this? Because we had this project for 2006 where a big part of the work was done. And right now we're talking with the person responsible for the project to get it back up, to talk to the industry, talk to the politicians, and get the project back up, to make the laws allow for the project to go on and to get it done afterwards.
So you're actually reviving an old project from the death to become alive again in Poland.
We're bringing out the giants. We're bringing out the giants. We're standing on the shoulders of giants, and we like to see them walk, and we're going in the same direction. That's about it. And we want to bring it back up
Back
and
to life.
get it to work. That's it.
And that's a great note to end on. Optimism and hope for the future. And you're not pessimistic. All of you 6 fantastic young nuclear advocates, you're actually looking forward and you believe in there being a future for nuclear. Thank you so much for participating in this panel, from Roberto to André, Julia, Aurora, Mark, and William. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you all for listening.